This is part 4 of the BBQ Shack Build series. Today we're going to be working on the sidewalls. Here you can see the completed outside frame for the first wall. These walls are going to be half height, at least on the front part. Now I've added the inside frame to the wall. This is where the tin is going to attach. I didn't film a lot of the actual build of this part of the wall, just because there really wouldn't be much to see, other than me just kind of staring off into space thinking, trying to figure out what I'm doing. At least for these first few walls, it's just going to be a few highlights. Then when we get to the next set of walls, I'll go into a little more detail on how I'm constructing each piece. Here's the finished product with the tin installed. And a view from the inside. The back part's going to be pretty much the same, at least for these side walls, but it's going to go all the way to the top instead of just being a half wall. And here we are with the first full side wall installed. So now I've got the complete side finished, the half wall and the full wall for this side. And just another view from the inside. For the outside frame pieces, it's pretty much just measure, cut, and screw into place. And pretty much the same thing with the back wall too. Oops, did I say measure, cut, install? I think I should have said measure twice, cut once, and then install. Oh well. All right, let's talk a bit about how I frame this out. I've used two terms so far. I've talked about the outer frame and the inner frame. So the outer frame is really just the board. It either sets in this direction and it sets on top of the deck or up against the post, right? And I pretty much go all the way across the bottom, across the top, and then just have the up and down pieces. Got one in the middle just to kind of help frame this out into two pieces. And then I come back and create what I guess I'm calling the inner frame, which is just boards going this way. And that's the ones I'm using the Craig jig to create holes to screw into the outer frame. I go ahead and frame that out this way all the way around. And the inner frame is what the tin actually screws into on the other side, right? And I do that pretty much for the small half walls and for the top, the tall walls there. Now where it gets different is when we got to the back, we decided to do something just a little bit different. Now I'm going to work on building the inside frame for the side walls. For this, they end up standing tall a little bit, so I need to put holes in them with the Craig jig. That way I can secure them to the outside frame. And now I've got the inside frame completed on this entire wall. So now it's just time to add the tin and we're good to go. Now it's just time to cut the tin. We specifically went after old, rusty looking tin, and we found a guy locally that had quite a bit for sale. We're able to really get a good deal on this, and even though this stuff's quite old, it's actually in very good shape with just very few holes in it. And the rust doesn't go all the way through. It's just pretty much on one side. In part 3, I talked about the blade I used to cut the tin. And it does wonders on this tin, being it's just a little bit thinner. You can see how I'm bracing the wood here. I'm not actually cutting off the end. I've got wood on both sides of where I'm cutting, and that makes it easy to hold the tin perfectly as I'm cutting it. It's getting a little bit late in the evening, but we decided to go ahead and push through and try to get these last few pieces of tin up. You know, it's just one of those things. This barbecue shack's on the opposite end of the house from our shed where all the tools are. So it takes a while to get all the tools moved over here and then get them put up. So every day that we work, we ideally want to get as much work done as we can. It really helps having the DeWalt driver that has a light on. Here's the finished walls from the outside. Having the light on the phone really helps when I'm trying to film this. And here's the inside view. Now we're back working on the front wall. I've already framed it out and I'm just getting ready to cut this in. Here's the finished front wall after installing the tin. I never could find a brand name on the tin we used for the roof, but the brand name for this tin is right here. It's Hercules.
Oh, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.
We started framing out the back wall, and it is just a little bit different than what we've done with the other walls. I'll talk about that in a minute. But we did want one little pop out, I guess we'll call it a window, in the back wall. That way we can open it up, it can help with ventilation, it can help let smoke out. But we wanted it to be open and or closed, so we're starting to build that out now. And I bought some gate hinges that's going to allow it to open and close. And it does open. And it kind of closes, although it doesn't really close all the way back. And there is more cutting of tin. How much tin are we going to have to cut in this build series? Going to install the tin that I cut onto the opening window. I guess you call it a window. You don't see through it, but it's still kind of a window. All right, now we're in back of the barbecue shack here. And you can see we did this a little bit different. For one thing, we didn't separate it and make two halves. We just kept each, between the posts, we made an entire wall there. So instead of creating an up and down piece to separate the tin, I think this looks fine. To be honest, I think I would have been happy with this on the front also. As much as I love the way the front looks, it definitely consumed a lot of wood, that's for sure. And on this one, we went ahead and made our outer frame being the bottom. We didn't really have to do one on the top because the tin just goes up to the, pretty much up to the upper tin on the roof line there. So we just made the bottom outside frame, and the rest of this, we just made like an inside frame that attaches to the post, and we attached the tin directly there. So I still think it looks good, and it consumes quite a bit less wood. A lot less 2x4 is being used this way. And it just depends on which look you like, right? You kind of can see what it looks like this way. You can see what it looked like on the front walls where we did it with the full outside frame and full inside frame, and you can make your decision on what you like best from there. At this point, I was all excited to try out the opening. Oh. Well, Then I realized I had the tin just a little bit too tight there and it was not going to open. So we had to reboot, go back and cut a little bit of the tin off to make it work. Here's what the outside looks like. I think it's got a very good look. Just love the look of that rusted tin. We haven't yet decided what we're going to do with the wood. If we're going to stain it, if we're going to paint it, if we're just going to leave it and let it weather over time. I've seen one on Facebook recently that kind of had some rustic tin like this, and they had painted the wood black, and that had a very interesting look. Let's get these last few sheets of tin put up. And now I've got the door functional and the rest of the tin put up. Let's just test it out real quick. Of course, my wife used to be a children's pastor, so the minute she saw this, she was like, "Oh, how awesome, you made a puppet stage." Anyway, I guess it could actually be that. If I ever decided to have a cooking channel, I could have little puppets that came up and talked to me while I was cooking. I don't know. All right, we got to the end of the fourth video. You can see we've been busy getting the sides up. Now, we have partial sides on the front piece of it. The idea is that we'll probably come back and make some, kick out roof panels here. There'll be walls that kind of raise up and give a little bit of roof there to anyone sitting on the outside here. Similar to this, we've got the little window here that's just supposed to provide airflow, let smoke get out maybe, but mostly to let the breeze blow through. I still need to get some gas struts for that to push it out once I open it. And I need to get a little latch to keep it closed whenever we want it closed, because right now it kind of just sets where it's pushing out just a little bit. But I need to get that completed. But besides that, we're about ready to start moving in here. Probably today we're going to go ahead and bring the smoker out, the Blackstone, the grill. I've got a rustic ice chest I made a few years ago that we're going to bring out, and I've got a kind of a rustic looking trash can. Get that out here and probably move a table and a couple of chairs in here just so we can start using it. But appreciate you guys watching. We've got a couple more videos in this series. I'd love to see your feedback. If you've got links to your videos where you built your barbecue shack, please put them in the comments. I'd love to watch it. Give me some good ideas. I'm still trying to figure out what to do shelving wise. Maybe some cabinets, like a workspace. A prep table, whatever. Still trying to get that figured out, but I appreciate it, guys. You'll have a good day.